Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Kartika Octaviani. Today I'm going to answer the English phonology and phonetics midterm question. So the first question: what are phonemes, syllables, stress, and intonation? And give some example of it. Well, phonemes are small number of regularly used sounds, namely vowels and consonants, in any language. For example, the vowels in words pin and pan is different, and the consonant in the words pat and bat is different too. Syllables. Syllables are a larger unit of speech than phonemes. The example of syllable is contract. Con is the first syllables and track is the second syllables. Next is what are stress. Stress roughly describe it as the relative strength of syllables. As an example of stress, consider the difference between the pronunciation contract as a noun, like they signed a contract, but the words contract could be a verb too, like it started contract. And next is intonation. Intonation is the use of the pitch of a voice to convey the word's meaning. The example for the intonation is like the words well said as an exclamation and as a question. In the first case, the pitch will usually fall from high to low. Do it wow. Do it wow. Wow. But as a question, wow will rise from low to high. Are you well? Are you well? Next question. What are accent and dialects? Give 2 examples each. Well, accent is pronunciation that classified because of geographical places, social classes, ages, and educational background. The example of accents are like water in America, but in British are like water. And then in Spanish accent, ferry is pronounced ferry with the R, but in American accent it's ferry. Next is dialects. Dialects is not just about pronunciation but also vocabulary, words order, and grammar. For example, it's like the British, American English, and Australian English, or even like Canada. In Canada, people call toilet as powder room, and in America it's called as toilet. In England English, in UK English it's restroom. Next question, what is RP? Well, RP or received pronunciation is the language that we concentrate on and use as our model is the most often recommended for foreign learners for studying British English. Next question, what is articulators? Articulators are different parts of the vocal tract that is necessary to become familiar in order to learn how the sounds of speech are produced. Next question, what is articulatory phonetics? Articulatory phonetics is the study of how the sounds of speech are produced. Next question, explain the 7 articulators. First is the pharynx is a tube which is began just above the larynx. It's about centimeter long in woman and about 8 centimeter in man. And as it stops, and it is divided into 2. One part being the back of the oral cavity and the other being the beginning of the way through the nasal cavity. If you look into your mirror with your mouth open, you can see the back of the pharynx. The second articulators. The soft palate or phallus to pass through the nose and through the mouth. Yours is probably in that position now, but often in speech it is raised so that air cannot escape through the nose. The other important thing about the soft palate is that it is actually one of the articulators that can be touched by the tongue. When we make the sound K and K in gay, the tongue is in contact with the lower side of the soft palate, and we call this velar consonants. The third articulator is the hard palate. It's often called the roof of the mouth. You can feel its smooth curved surface with your tongue. A consonant met with the tongue close to the hard palate is called palatal. The sound ch in yes is palatal. The fourth articulators, the alveolar ridge, is between the top front teeth and the hard palate. You can feel it safe with your tongue. Its surface is really much longer than its feel. It's discovered with little ridges. You can only see this if you have a mirror small enough to go inside your mouth, such as those used by dentists. The tongue. The fifth articulator is the tongue, which is a very important articulator, and it can be moved into many different places in different shapes. It is usual to divide the tongue into different parts, though there are no clear dividing line with its structure. 6 articulators. The teeth, upper and lower. You remember that most speakers have teeth to the sides of their mouths, back almost to the soft palate. The tongue is contact with the upper side for teeth, most speech sound. 7. The lips are important in speech. They can press it together when we press the sounds of p and p, brought into contact with its teeth as if an F and F, or rounded to press the lips safe for vowels like ooh. Sounds in which the lips are in contact with each other are called bilabial, while those with lip-to-teeth contact are called labiodental. Next question, explain the other 3 articulators. First, the larynx could also be described as an articulator, a very complex and independent one. Second, the jaw are sometimes called the articulators. Certainly, we move the lower jaw a lot in speak. But the jaws are not articulators in the same way as the other because they cannot themselves make contact with the other articulators. Nose and the nasal cavity. When speaking, there is particularly nothing active that we can do with that. They are a very important part of our equipment for making sounds, which is sometimes called our vocal apparatus, particularly nasal consonants such as M and N. What is the difference between vowel and consonant? Well, this is really different, but if you ask what is so different about them is how they produce. Most of vowel is really easy to produce, a, e, u, e, o, but the consonant is quite hard, like t, t, p, p, ch, ch. Next question, explain what do open mean, close mean, close, open, front and back in quadrilateral mean. Cardinal vowel number 1 has the symbol E and is defined as the vowel which is as close and as front as it possible to make a vowel without obstructing the flow of air enough to produce friction noise. Friction noise is the hissing sound that one makes in consonant like S and F. Cardinal vowel number 5 has the symbol A and is defined as the most open and back vowel as it possible to make. Cardinal vowel number 8, U, is fully closed and back, and number 4, A, is fully open and front. After establishing this extreme point, it is possible to put in intermediate points. Vowels number 2 and 3 is a closed mid, and number 6 and 7 is an open mid. Next question, explain lip shape and position. The lips can have many different shapes and positions. We will at this stage consider only 3 possibilities. These are: first, rounded, where the corner of the lips are brought towards each other and the lips push forward. This is the most clearly seen in cardinal vowel number 8, U. Spread, with the corner of the lips move away from each other as for a smile. This is most clearly seen in cardinal vowel number 1, E. Neutral, where the lips are not noticeable rounded or spread. The noise most English people make when they hesitate. Writing has natural lips position. Last question, explain short vowels, long vowel, diphthongs, and triphthongs. First, short vowels. This, and this one are the symbol for the short vowels. Short vowels are only relatively short, of course. It's called a short vowel because how you say the symbol is this, and this sounds the same, but these are longer. This is the long vowels, and this one is shorter. E and E. Example for the short vowels for this one is pig, pin, fish. Next, long vowels. There are 5 long vowels. These are the vowels which tend to be longer than the short vowels in similar contexts. It is necessary to say in similar context because, as we shall see later, the length of all English vowel sounds varies very much according to the context, such as the type of the sound that follow them, and the presence or absence of stress. To remind you that these vowels tend to belong, the symbol consists one vowel symbol plus a leg mark of two dots. The one that have two dots are long vowels. The example words is be, beat, mean, and peach. Next is diphthongs. In terms of diphthongs are like the long vowel described before. Perhaps the most important thing to remember about all the diphthongs is that the first part is much longer and stronger than the second part. For example, when you say I, these are the symbol for the diphthongs. For example, I. As in the words I consists of the A vowel, and only in about last quarter of the diphthong does glide to E become noticeable. As the glide to E happens, the loudness of the sound decreases. As a result, the E part is shorter and quieter. The total number of diphthongs is 8. Okay, so the one that ended with E, this is a closing diphthong, and also the one that ended with U, this and this one, and the other one is a centering diphthong. Last, diphthongs. Diphthong is the most complex English sounds of the vowel. They can be rather difficult to pronounce and very difficult to recognize. A diphthong is a glide from one vowel to another then to a third. So, the diphthong vowels has three symbols. The symbol are actually from this 5 closing diphthongs plus the schwa symbol. So it's all pronounced at the end with R, like player, layer, liar, fire, loyal, royal. And then, the principal cause of difficulty for foreign learners is that in present-day English the extent of the vowel movement is very small, except in very careful pronunciation. Because of this, middle of three vowel quality of the diphthong, that is the E and U part, can hardly be heard, and the resulting sound is difficult to distinguish from some of the diphthongs and long vowels. We will not go through a detailed description of each diphthong. This is partly because there is so much variation in the amount of vowel movement according to how slow and careful pronunciation is, and also because the careful pronunciation can be found by looking at the description of the corresponding diphthong and adding a schwa symbol to the end. Well, that is all my answer. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.